The girl's whisper barely carried past her lips. "Don't tell him I'm here." The soldier froze mid-breath. The K9, rigid as stone, stared into the woods outside the broken doorway. Its growl rumbled low, eyes locked on something unseen between the trees. The soldier whispered back, steady but taut. "Who's out there?" The child clutched his sleeve tighter. "He's looking for me." The shepherd barked once, sharp and savage, snapping the night open. Snow swirled through the doorway as the lantern guttered. The soldier turned his rifle toward the woods just as a shadow moved, too fast, too close. And then the screen cuts black. Snow rattled against the shutters like handfuls of nails, each gust of wind whistling through the crooked seams in the old cabin walls. The lantern on the table flickered, flame bending low each time the storm pressed too close. The soldier sat stiff-backed in the chair nearest the door, rifle resting across his knees, his breath fogging faint in the bitter air. The dog hadn't moved in 10 minutes. It stood rigid, black coat bristling, ears fixed toward the woods beyond the cabin. Its eyes glowed faintly in the reflection of the lantern's light, steady and unblinking. Every time the soldier glanced toward it, he saw the tension, like a bowstring drawn tight but never loosed. And then the whisper came. He almost thought it was the storm at first. Just a slip of sound carried through timber and wind. But then he felt it at his sleeve, small fingers, trembling, clutching the rough fabric. The girl's face was pale, her eyes red-rimmed from cold and fear. She leaned closer, her lips barely parting, her breath a fragile cloud against his arm. "Don't tell him I'm here." The soldier's chest tightened. He turned his head slightly, enough to see her without startling her grip. His voice came low, steady, but softer than command. "Who?" Her eyes darted toward the door. Then the window. She pressed her forehead into his sleeve as though hiding there could erase the world. "Don't let him find me." The soldier's jaw worked, teeth grinding. He knew the sound of desperation, the kind that carried truth heavier than words could. He looked again to the dog. The shepherd hadn't shifted. Its body was taut, muzzle pointed directly at the treeling beyond the window slats. A faint growl rumbled deep in its chest, almost inaudible, more vibration than sound. The soldier reached his free hand over, pressing it gently to the girl's shoulder. "You're safe here," he whispered. "Not a word leaves this cabin without me saying so." But she shook her head violently, fingers clinging harder. "You don't understand. He always finds me." The soldier exhaled slow. He leaned his rifle against the table, the wood creaking under the weight. His boots shifted, grounding against the floorboards. "Not tonight," he muttered. "Not with me here." The wind howled again. The shutters clapped once against their frame. Snow hissed through the cracks, scattering across the floor. The girl jerked, eyes snapping to the noise, breath coming too quick. Her whisper rose, sharp but cracked. "Don't let him in." The soldier stood, pulling her closer against him, steadying her shivering frame. His other hand reached for the lantern, steadying its flicker. His gaze shifted back to the shepherd. The dog still hadn't moved, not an inch. Its whole body was a frozen line of tension aimed at the woods. The soldier followed its stare. Beyond the glass, the world was nothing but white and black, snow swept between skeletal trees, shadows thick where the lantern's glow didn't reach. Nothing moved. Nothing visible. But if the dog locked that hard, there was something. He set the lantern back down, slow, his jaw tight. His voice dropped low. "What's he after?" The girl's eyes brimmed, her whisper breaking on the edge of sobs. "Me." The shepherd's growl deepened. Its claws scraped faint against the floorboards as if anchoring itself, refusing to budge. The soldier's instincts sharpened. He eased the girl into the corner near the fireless hearth, positioning himself between her and the door. He lifted the rifle again, stock snug against his shoulder, barrel angled toward the gap in the shutters. The woods beyond didn't move. Snow curled and twisted in shifting gusts, shapes rising and fading like figures half-formed. And then the dog barked once, sharp, savage, enough to rattle the glass. The girl screamed into his sleeve, muffling herself against him. Her whisper broke higher, faster. "Don't let him find me, don't let him find me." The soldier steadied his stance, breath low, finger brushing the trigger guard. His voice was iron now, pitched only for her ears. "He won't." The shepherd's bark cut again, deeper this time, like it was warning something just beyond the tree line. Snow swirled harder. The storm seemed to shift direction, pressing the shutters inward as though the woods themselves leaned closer. The soldier felt it then, not just storm, not just night. Presence. A weight behind the glass that no eyes could pierce. He had been in enough wars, enough ambushes, to know when something watched. The girl sobbed into his coat, whispering still. "Don't tell him, please don't tell him." The soldier's breath fogged hard as his voice slipped steady through grit. "You're not going anywhere. Not while I'm standing." The shepherd barked again, snapping teeth in the dark, unyielding. Snow slammed the window. The lantern flickered low. And outside, between the black trees, a shadow moved. The shadow between the trees didn't vanish. The soldier narrowed his eyes, rifle steady at the shoulder. Snow streaked the glass in lines, obscuring shapes, but the dog's growl told him enough. Something was there. Something it didn't trust. The girl pressed harder into his coat. Her whisper scraped against his sleeve, softer now but edged in fear. "Don't let him find me." The soldier's jaw flexed. His eyes stayed on the woods, but his voice slid low, controlled. "He won't. Not through me. Not through him." He nodded toward the shepherd. The dog barked again, a single crack of sound, muzzle flashing teeth toward the dark. Then it stilled, frozen like stone, staring into the white beyond the shutters. The soldier adjusted his stance. He had learned long ago to trust a dog's silence more than a man's words. The bark wasn't noise. It was warning. The wind shifted. For a heartbeat the snow bent sideways, and he saw it clearer, a tall figure at the edge of the tree-line, half obscured, unmoving. Too still to be storm, too straight to be branches. The girl whimpered, fingers clawing his coat. "Please." He pulled her closer against his side, rifle steady. His breath fogged into the cold air, disappearing as quick as it came. The shepherd growled low again, ears flat, claws scraping faint grooves into the boards. It wanted to move, but didn't. "Not yet." The soldier whispered low. "If you're out there, come closer." No answer. Just the hiss of snow. The girl lifted her head a fraction, eyes wide. Her whisper cracked again. "He waits. He always waits." The soldier forced calm into his voice. "Not tonight. Not through me." The figure didn't shift, but something else did, the woods themselves. Snow thickened, branches swaying though the wind dropped. A pressure pressed the cabin air tighter, as if the storm bent around one shape alone. The soldier steadied his boots, jaw set. His voice lifted, firm. "Dog." The shepherd barked once, deep, shaking the shutters in their frame. Then still again. The girl sobbed against him. "Don't let him in, don't let him in." He leaned low, his voice steady, anchoring her. "You're not going anywhere. Do you hear me? Not while I'm here." The lantern flickered, guttering low as if air had thinned. The shadows on the walls lengthened, stretching wrong for the flame. The soldier felt it then, what made the girl whisper, what made the dog freeze. It wasn't noise. It wasn't sight. It was presence. The kind you felt in your chest before your mind could name it. The shutters rattled once, then stilled. A creak followed, floorboards. Or branches pressing the cabin wall? The soldier couldn't tell. The shepherd's growl deepened. Its tail bristled, muscles coiled. The soldier whispered steady, words aimed into the dark. You step in here, you don't walk back out. Snow struck the glass hard enough to crack one pane. The girl shrieked, clutching him tighter. The soldier swung the rifle toward the window, breath sharp, ready. But the shadow was gone. He scanned the trees, every muscle rigid. Nothing. Just snow whipping in white sheets. The shepherd didn't ease. Its body stayed locked, gaze still aimed into the same patch of dark woods. The girl's whisper trembled. Don't let him find me. The soldier's breath steadied. He bent lower, his voice pressed into her hair. You're safe here. You stay behind me. Always behind me. She nodded, small and frantic. The lantern flickered again, almost out. The soldier shifted, reaching to steady it with his free hand. The shutters clapped once, twice, slamming harder with the storm. Then the knock came. Soft. Too deliberate to be storm, too steady to be branches. 3 raps on the wood. The girl's scream was muffled into his sleeve. Don't open it. The shepherd barked savage, lunging 2 steps toward the door before freezing again, shoulders rigid, teeth bared. The soldier raised his rifle, voice iron. You picked the wrong cabin. The wind roared. Snow swirled through cracks. The knock didn't repeat. Only the whisper pressed into the room again, softer, stretched thin, echoing wrong. Don't let him find me. But it wasn't the girl this time. Her face was buried against his sleeve, sobbing silent. The soldier froze, eyes narrowing toward the door. His finger tightened on the trigger. The echo of the whisper clung to the walls like smoke. Don't let him find me. The soldier's grip tightened on the rifle. His boots were firm on the boards, weight balanced, breath slowed despite the hammer in his chest. He glanced down once, just enough to confirm what he already knew. The girl's lips hadn't moved. Her face was pressed against his sleeve, shivering, silent. Which meant the voice had come from somewhere else. The shepherd growled low, ears pinned, body coiled in front of the door. Its eyes locked forward, unblinking, chest rising steady but heavy with tension. The soldier's voice cut into the dark, low but sharp. Who's out there? The storm hissed against the wood, snow slapping the shutters, wind rattling nails loose in the boards. But nothing answered. The girl whimpered, whisper cracking raw. Don't open it. He glanced down, meeting her eyes for a flicker. His own voice dropped steady, anchoring her fear. I won't. The shepherd barked once, savage, snapping teeth loud against the silence. It didn't move forward though, not a step closer to the door. As if some line had been drawn in the wood that even the dog refused to cross. The soldier took that in. A dog trained for war, for scent, for kill, and it froze here. That meant something worse than a man waited outside. Snow slammed the window again. The lantern guttered. Shadows stretched long across the floor. The soldier steadied the rifle, aiming at the seam of the door. If you're man enough to knock, he called, voice rising, be man enough to speak. Nothing. Only the storm. The girl clutched tighter, her whisper trembling again. Don't let him find me. The soldier felt his chest tighten. He pressed her back behind him, angling her into the hearth corner where shadow pooled thickest. His words slid low and sharp. Stay there. Don't move unless I tell you. Her head bobbed fast, frantic. The shepherd snarled again, deep and guttural. Its claws scraped wood, body shaking with restraint. Then the latch shifted. The soldier snapped the rifle higher, breath frozen in his throat. The iron catch trembled in its socket, rattling against the frame, as though someone pressed it from outside. The girl whimpered a sob, muffling into her knees. He's here. The shepherd roared, a bark that tore through the cabin. The latch stilled. The soldier's finger pressed against the trigger. "Try it," he muttered. "See what happens." The wind surged louder, slamming the door in its frame. Boards creaked. Dust sifted down from the rafters. And then, silence. Too sharp. Too sudden. The storm hadn't ended. He could still see snow whipping past the cracks. But inside the cabin it was as if air had been stolen, sound sucked from the room. The girl lifted her head, eyes wide and wet. Her whisper cracked through the silence. "Don't let him." Before she could finish, the window rattled. The soldier spun, rifle trained on the glass. The snow outside swirled harder, shapes half forming between trees. The shepherd barked again, savage, but didn't step closer. The soldier shifted, muscles taut, ready to fire. And then the whisper came again, clearer, sharper, pressed directly against his ear. "Don't let him find me." He froze, jaw tight. The girl was still huddled in the corner, silent. The soldier's heart hammered. He forced his breath steady. His voice rasped into the dark. "You picked the wrong ones to haunt." The shepherd roared louder, teeth flashing in the lantern glow. The shutters clapped hard enough to split wood. And outside, the shadow stepped closer. The shadow at the tree-line didn't vanish this time. It lingered, tall and unmoving, a smear of black against the swirl of snow. The soldier's rifle stayed locked on it, his cheek tight to the stock, every sense stretched thin. The girl's sobs cracked raw in the corner. She had pressed herself small, her face buried in her knees, fingers clamped around the soldier's sleeve as though she could hold herself to him through distance. The shepherd bristled hard at the threshold, body vibrating with its growl. Its claws dug into the boards, refusing to take even one step back. And then the whisper changed. It pressed in from the walls, from the door, from the air itself. Not soft this time, not uncertain. A jagged plea, sharp with panic. "Help me." The soldier stiffened. His eyes darted toward the girl in the corner. Her lips hadn't moved. She was still silent, her body trembling. "Help me." The shepherd barked once, savage, cutting the word mid-echo. The soldier exhaled hard, fogging the air in front of him. "Not yours," he muttered. His voice dropped into steel. "Not hers." The latch rattled again. Harder this time. The soldier swung toward the door, rifle sight locked. "You open it. I drop you where you stand." The girl whimpered through clenched teeth. "He wants me. He always wants me." The soldier's voice cut sharper. "He doesn't get you. Not now. Not ever. Help me." The whisper pressed sharper, louder, drawn into every gap in the cabin. The soldier stepped forward, boots grinding the dust. He braced himself beside the shepherd at the threshold, barrel aimed dead center. The dog snapped its jaws at the seam of the door, foam flecking its muzzle. Its growl was a wall of sound against the storm. The knock came again. Louder. 3 sharp blows, rattling the frame in its socket. The girl screamed into her knees. "Help me." The voice shrieked now, jagged, cracking through the wood. The soldier's breath stayed steady. He had been under shell fire, he had been in ambush, fear never left, but it sharpened if you let it. He pressed his voice low, aimed not at the door but at the girl. "You're safe. Do you hear me? You're safe." She sobbed harder but nodded fast against her knees. The shepherd barked again, savage. The latch jerked violently. The door bowed inward, wood straining at the hinges. Snow blasted through seams. The lantern guttered low, flame bending flat. The soldier roared, voice cutting steel against the chaos. "Dog!" The shepherd lunged, slamming its body against the door as it bowed inward. The growl became a roar, teeth snapping through the gap. "Help me!" The whisper screamed again, stretched thin like it came from every side. The soldier steadied his rifle at the seam. His jaw locked, finger tightening on the trigger. And then, the knock stopped. The whisper cut off mid-plea. The storm hissed again, reclaiming the silence. The door sagged back into place. The shepherd stayed braced against it, chest heaving, saliva dripping from its teeth. The soldier didn't lower the rifle. His breath came hard, chest burning against the cold. His eyes scanned the seams, waiting for the next press. The girl lifted her head, her whisper broken and wet. Why did it stop? He didn't look at her. His voice stayed steady, focused on the door. Because it's waiting. The lantern flickered again. The shadows shifted wrong. "Help me!" The whisper returned, softer again, like a lure. The soldier's jaw clenched. He lowered his head just enough to press his voice steady into the room. "Not your voice. Not your words." The shepherd's growl vibrated deep, chest low, ears fixed sharp. Snow slammed the window again, glass rattling in the frame. Another shadow moved between trees. The soldier steadied himself, boots locked firm. "Let it try," he muttered. The girl whimpered. "He doesn't stop." The soldier's eyes narrowed. "Neither do I." And then, faint but certain, the door handle turned. The handle trembled. Metal scraped against metal, a faint squeal that caught through the storm. The soldier steadied the rifle, his cheek tight against the stock, eye fixed on the seam. The shepherd slammed forward again, chest heaving against the wood, teeth snapping through the widening crack. The girl shrieked and pressed harder into the corner, hands over her ears. "Help me!" The whisper ripped through the cabin now, urgent, raw, pressing through walls and floorboards as though the whole structure begged at once. The soldier's jaw locked. His voice cut through the noise, not for the door but for the child. "Stay small. Stay low. Nothing gets through me." The shepherd's bark tore the silence again, deep, savage, defiant. The handle rattled harder, then stilled. The soldier breathed slow through his nose, pulse slamming. His finger brushed the trigger, ready to break it clean. "Help me!" The words overlapped now, once from outside, once from somewhere inside the walls. The sound didn't echo, it stacked, layers pressing heavy against the air until the lantern guttered again. The girl screamed into her knees. "Make it stop!" The soldier's voice hardened. "Dog!" The shepherd lunged harder, claws raking grooves into the floorboards, muzzle snapping at air just beyond the gap. The growl rolled like thunder, deep enough to rattle his boots. And then the knock came again. Not soft this time. Violent. The door buckled inward, hinges groaning, dust sifting from the frame. The soldier roared over the chaos, voice cracking the air. "You're not coming in. Help me!" The whisper screeched sharp now, no longer plea but command. The girl sobbed into her hands. "It sounds like me, it sounds like me." The soldier's chest ached. He pressed his voice sharp, anchoring her against the storm. "That's not you. I know the difference. You hear me? I know the difference." Her sobs broke softer, steadier, as though clinging to his words. The shepherd snarled louder, saliva flashing in the lantern's light. The handle jerked again, then stopped. The soldier's breathing slowed. He adjusted his stance, feet solid against the creaking floor. His voice lowered, steel buried deep. "You want in? Show yourself. Man to man." The storm roared back through the gap, cold blasting his face. But no figure stepped inside. Only the whisper came again. "Help me." Fainter now. As if retreating. The shepherd stayed braced, chest heaving, ears locked forward. It didn't trust the silence. Neither did the soldier. He glanced once toward the girl. She was still folded small, face buried, but her shoulders shook less. She was listening. Waiting. He steadied his rifle, jaw set. Listen to me. Whatever that is, storm, shadow, man, it doesn't own your voice. You keep it here. He tapped his chest with one gloved hand. With me. Her tear-wet eyes lifted to his for the first time, searching his face for truth. He gave her none but the steady stare of a man who had carried too many through worse. The wind surged again, rattling shutters, cracking wood. Help me. The whisper crashed against the cabin again, this time from all directions. Floorboards, rafters, even the cold air itself seemed to plead. The shepherd lunged, snapping teeth so loud the sound cracked like bone. The girl clamped her hands to her ears, crying. The soldier shouted into the storm, voice ripping through it all. Then help yourself. Show me your face. For a beat, silence fell. And then, laughter. Faint. Jagged. From the treeline. The soldier's stomach dropped, rifle tightening against his shoulder. The shepherd barked again, sharp and furious, hackles stiff. The laughter stopped. Help me. The whisper slid low, stretching, breaking at the edges. The soldier's heart pounded, but his voice cut steady, aimed toward the child. If you were me right now, would you trust the voice outside these walls, or the dog that hasn't left your side? The girl's lips trembled. Her voice barely carried. The dog. The soldier nodded once. Then that's our answer. The shepherd barked once, sharp, sealing the vow. The storm slammed against the cabin again, a gust so strong the lantern blew out, plunging them into dark. The soldier's breath fogged hard in the black. Rifle still aimed, body braced. The girl's whisper cracked raw in the dark. Don't let him find me. The soldier's voice answered, final and steady. He won't. And outside, snow shifted heavy, as if something large moved closer to the door. The dark pressed heavy against them. The lantern was gone, its final glow snuffed by the storm's breath. The only light came thin and gray through cracks in the shutters, stormlit and shifting. The soldier's boots were solid on the boards, rifle locked on the seam of the door. His breath fogged into the cold air, visible even in the faint light. The girl whimpered low behind him, small body folded tight in the corner, her sobs smothered into her hands. The shepherd stood rigid, muzzle to the gap, teeth bared white in the gloom. A low growl rolled constant in its chest, vibrating through the floor. Then the voice came again, louder, breaking, urgent. Help me. It tore through the walls like a cry carried by the storm. The soldier stiffened, heart pounding, but his jaw stayed locked. His voice cut steady into the black. You're not fooling us. The shepherd barked once, savage, snapping at the seam. Splinters cracked free from the frame. The door handle jerked. Hard. The iron clattered against its housing, straining the wood. The soldier pressed forward, shoulder bracing the frame, rifle angled at the gap. His breath hissed low. Dog! The shepherd slammed against the door, claws scraping furrows into the boards. Its bark tore the silence into shreds. Help me! The voice screamed now, layered, pressing from every direction at once. The girl sobbed harder, her hands clamped to her ears. Make it stop. Please, make it stop. The soldier grit his teeth, voice sharp and grounding. Eyes on me. Not on it. On me. She peeked through trembling fingers, her eyes catching his silhouette braced at the door. Help me. The whisper shrieked again, high enough to splinter the air. The door bowed inward. Hinges groaned, wood cracking. A hand, pale, clawed, slick with frost, forced through the seam, fingers groping into the cabin. The shepherd lunged, teeth snapping down on flesh. Blood sprayed across the floorboards. The intruding hand twisted, clawing deeper even as bone crunched in the dog's jaws. The girl screamed, curling tighter against the wall. The soldier swung the rifle, barrel leveled at the opening. His voice ripped from his chest, thunder against the whispers. Not one step further. The shepherd shook its head violently, ripping the hand free from the door. The intruder shrieked, a sound not fully human, not fully storm. The hand snapped back into the night, dragging the broken frame with it. "Help me!" The voice howled again, this time louder, more frantic, echoing down into the floorboards and rafters. The soldier held ground, chest burning with each breath. He didn't fire, not yet. Firing meant weakness, fear. This needed resolve, not panic. The girl sobbed quieter now, rocking herself small. "It sounds like me," she whispered, breaking. "It sounds just like me." The soldier turned his head an inch, enough to meet her eyes. His voice was low but firm. "No. You're here. That's out there. You remember that." Her eyes locked on him, wide and glassy, but she nodded fast. The shepherd braced again, blood flecking its muzzle, claws sunk into the floor. Its growl stayed steady, a wall between them and whatever pressed outside. Snow slammed the shutters again. Boards cracked louder. "Help me!" The voice shattered through the air, urgent, furious, each repetition louder than the last. The soldier roared back, voice sharp enough to cut iron. "You're not her voice. You don't own her." The shepherd barked, louder, sharper, breaking the chant for a heartbeat. And then silence. The soldier held still, rifle locked on the frame. His breath fogged, muscles trembling from the strain. The girl whispered again, fragile. "Why does it stop?" His jaw clenched. "Because it's waiting." The floor creaked beneath them. The shepherd's head snapped downward, ears pinned, growl rolling deep. Its eyes locked on the floorboards. The soldier felt his gut sink. Slowly, he tilted the rifle, barrel dropping toward the wood beneath their feet. The whisper came again, this time muffled, as though rising from under the cabin itself. "Help me!" The girl shrieked and scrambled to her feet, clutching his sleeve. "It's under us." The boards bowed. Dust sifted upward through the seams. The shepherd roared, spinning, teeth flashing at the floor. The soldier braced himself, pulling the girl behind him. His rifle tracked down as the wood splintered. The whisper screamed again, urgent, desperate. "Help me!" And then the boards cracked wide. The floor split like bone under an axe. Boards snapped, nails screeched free, and the gap yawned wider until the soldier could see into the crawlspace beneath the cabin. Darkness pressed up through the opening, thick and shifting. Dust swirled into the air, choking. The shepherd lunged forward, planting itself on the splintered boards, growling with a sound that shook the walls. Saliva flecked from its jaws, muzzle dripping crimson from the last bite. The girl screamed and clung to the soldier's sleeve, dragging herself up against his side. Her sobs broke into words that cracked raw. "It's coming through, it's coming through." The soldier steadied the rifle, barrel tracking the dark seam below. His boots braced, chest burning as he forced his breath even. "Dog!" The shepherd roared, snapping its teeth into the void. Something shrieked back, high, jagged, wrong. And then the whispers came again. Not one. Many. "Help me. Don't let him find me. Please. Choose." They overlapped, stacking into a wall of voices, each one pressing sharp into his ears until his skull throbbed. They weren't in unison, they were jagged, off-time, tumbling over one another like a crowd trying to force its way into the same door. The soldier grit his teeth. His voice cracked out sharp. "You don't get to speak in her voice." The shepherd barked, chest vibrating, claws raking into the splinters as it held its ground over the opening. The girl sobbed into the soldier's coat, shaking violently. "It sounds like me. It sounds like me." The soldier dropped his head low, pressing his cheek into her hair. His voice came firm, raw but steady. "No. You're here. That's all that matters. You're here with me." The whispers didn't stop. "Help me. Don't tell him. Please. Help me." They poured up through the floor, each voice twisting, some sounding like the girl, some like others, some like nothing human at all. The soldier raised the rifle again. His breath fogged, finger curling tighter on the trigger. "You step out of that hole, I'll bury you here." The floor buckled harder. Splinters shot into the air. The shepherd lunged again, jaws snapping. It caught something, an arm, pale and long, fingers clawing. Blood sprayed across the boards as the dog shook violently, dragging the thing back into the dark. The shriek rose, high and inhuman, layered over the chorus of whispers. The soldier fired. The rifle cracked, muzzle flash tearing light into the dark. The recoil slammed his shoulder, ears ringing. The voices faltered. For a second, silence dropped, thin, fragile, broken only by the storm outside. Then they came back louder. "Help me. Please. Don't let him. Help me." The girl screamed into his chest, sobbing harder. The shepherd snarled, body trembling with rage, its paws slipping against splintered wood. The soldier racked the rifle, chamber snapping, voice roaring over the storm and the voices both. "Not one more step. You hear me? Not one more." The gap widened. Boards cracked further, one plank snapping free and vanishing into the dark below. Cold air blasted up, thick with dust and rot. The shepherd barked again, savage, throwing itself against the widening split. It was holding the line, but only barely. The soldier pulled the girl higher against him, forcing her small frame behind his body. His voice cracked low into her ear. "Stay with me. No matter what, you stay with me." She sobbed and nodded, her arms clamped around his waist. The voices screamed louder. "Help me. Please. Don't let him find me. Help me." They pressed together until it was almost one endless howl. The soldier gritted his teeth. He forced his boots wider, rifle locked forward. His voice cut sharp and raw. "You're not her. You're not me. You're nothing but noise." The shepherd barked once, sharp and savage, sealing the words. The whispers faltered, only for a breath. Then they came back, layered deeper, faster, echoing so hard the walls themselves rattled. The girl clutched tighter, screaming into his chest. The soldier didn't flinch. He held his ground, jaw set, eyes steady on the void. And then, the floor split wider. The floor gave another groan, then split wider. Boards snapped and dropped into the dark, leaving a jagged hole big enough for more than a hand to reach through. Cold air blasted up from below, thick with rot and soil. Dust swirled in choking clouds, filling the cabin with grit that stung the soldier's eyes. He wiped his face against his sleeve but didn't blink his aim away from the gap. The shepherd braced over the opening, claws dug deep into splinters, teeth flashing white and red. Its growl was relentless, throat vibrating so hard the boards beneath it trembled. The girl clung to the soldier's side, her hands gripping his coat with desperate force. Her body shook so violently he could feel it through his chest. Her voice cracked raw, hoarse from fear. "Don't let it take me, please don't let it take me." The soldier pressed her tighter behind him. His voice cut sharp and steady through the storm of noise. "You're not leaving this room. Not while I'm breathing." The gap yawned wider, shadows pressing up through the opening. And then the whispers erupted again. "Not one. Not 10. Hundreds. Help me. Please. Don't let him find me. Help me. Choose. Take me home. They overlapped and twisted until they no longer sounded human. Some high-pitched, some guttural, some echoing like they came from the rafters, others muffled like they rose through the dirt itself. The soldier's teeth clenched. His head rang from the pressure, the voices drilling into his skull. The girl screamed, collapsing against him, hands clamped to her ears. Make it stop. It's me, it sounds like me. The soldier dropped his head low against hers, his words a rasp of steel. No. You're here. That's all that matters. That's not your voice, it never will be. The shepherd barked once, sharp and savage, muzzle snapping into the hole. It caught another pale limb, jerking it violently, dragging shrieks up from the dark. The sound didn't stop the chorus, it only added to it. Help me! Help me! Help me! Three at once, jagged, distorted, breaking into each other. The soldier steadied his boots, rifle aimed down. His voice roared over the chaos. You want her? You go through me. The shepherd snarled louder, foam flying from its jaws. Its body trembled with the effort of holding ground as more arms clawed through the gap. The girl buried her face in his coat, sobbing. It's too many, it's too many. The soldier locked his jaw, eyes burning from dust and grit. Numbers don't matter. Stance does. Hold. Please. Help me. Don't let him find me. The voices spiraled faster, louder, until it felt like the cabin itself screamed. Rafters shook, dust rained from the ceiling, shutters clapped open and slammed closed with no wind to drive them. The soldier shouted over it, voice tearing raw. If you were in my place, if you had the rifle, the dog, the weight of this choice, would you open that door to the voices, or hold your ground against the storm? The girl sobbed but managed a whisper. Hold your ground. The soldier nodded once, hard. Then that's what we do. The shepherd barked again, ripping another clawed arm back into the dark. Blood sprayed, soaking the splintered boards. The voices wailed in unison. Help me. The floor shook beneath their feet. More boards cracked, sagging inward. The soldier felt the frame shudder, wood straining against weight it was never built to bear. He pulled the girl higher into his arms, rifle still steady in his grip. His chest heaved, but his voice was steel. Stay behind me. No matter what, you don't move. She nodded against him, her tears soaking his coat. The whispers swelled again, hundreds of voices collapsing into one endless cry. Help me. The soldier roared back, voice cracking the night. No. He fired. The muzzle flash split the dark. The recoil slammed his shoulder. The shot ripped into the hole, the sound echoing like thunder under the floor. For one breath, silence fell. Then the whispers came back louder. Help me. Help me. Help me. The shepherd lunged again, jaws snapping bone and flesh. Its roar shook the air. The soldier's jaw locked. His breath tore in heavy fog. The girl sobbed but clung tighter, refusing to let go. The hole widened. More hands clawed up. The soldier braced himself against the storm, against the voices, against the cracking floor. His eyes burned but his stance didn't falter. The whispers screamed in unison, shaking the cabin. Help me. And then the last of the boards gave way. The floor collapsed. The boards gave way with a thunderclap. Wood splintered, nails screamed free, and the cabin floor sagged open into blackness. Snow from the storm whipped down into the hole, vanishing into shadow as though the dark swallowed it whole. The soldier clutched the girl tight against his chest, boots scrambling for balance on the broken beams. His rifle swung wild for a heartbeat, then steadied, barrel trained into the dark. His breath roared in his ears, each inhale a rasp of frost and grit. The shepherd launched forward, landing square across the collapsing edge, claws scraping sparks on splinters. Its growl turned feral, chest vibrating with raw force. It held ground on the lip of the void, snapping at hands that clawed up from below. The girl screamed into his chest, voice raw and hoarse. "It's pulling us down, it's pulling us down." The soldier dug his boots into the nearest intact beam, one arm gripping her so tight she couldn't slip, the other steadying the rifle. His voice broke into a roar. "Dog, hold!" The shepherd barked once, vicious, jaws locking on a pale arm. Bone cracked loud in the dark. A shriek rose up, not one voice, but many, screaming in discord. Then the chorus cut off. Silence. For a breath, only the storm howled through the gaps. Snow rattled on splinters. The soldier's chest heaved, ears straining for sound. And then it came. Not a plea. Not 100 overlapping cries. One word. Choose. The soldier froze, rifle steady, muscles rigid. The girl clutched his sleeve harder, her tears soaking into the fabric. Don't listen, don't listen. Choose. It came again, deeper, stretched thin, rattling the beams under his boots. The shepherd snarled louder, snapping at the dark, foam dripping from its jaws. Choose. The soldier's teeth grit. His voice came low, steady, cutting through. I already did. The dark below hissed, a rush of whispers pressing sharp into his skull. They overlapped again, but now fractured, broken shards of sound. Help me. Please. Don't tell him. Choose. The floor sagged further, one beam cracking under his boot. He shifted, muscles straining, pulling the girl higher in his grip. His rifle never wavered from the dark. The girl sobbed into him. It wants me. It always wanted me. The soldier dropped his voice into her ear, raw and steady. It doesn't get you. You hear me? It doesn't get you. Choose. The words slammed again, rattling through the cabin, vibrating the shutters, knocking dust from rafters. The shepherd barked once, savage, muzzle snapping inches from the gap. Its body shook with the force of its growl. Choose. The soldier roared back, voice tearing his throat raw. I already chose. His boots slid as another plank snapped. The girl shrieked, arms tightening around his neck. The soldier heaved her weight higher, clutching her against his chest. His jaw locked. He swung the rifle down into the dark, barrel flashing steady. Dog, with me. The shepherd leapt back from the lip, landing solid beside them, still snarling, still braced. Choose. The word came again, this time stretching into a dozen voices, layered, distorted, each one pressing against his skull until his vision blurred. Choose. 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 The soldier shook his head hard, grit grinding his teeth. His voice cracked raw, pressed into the child's ear. I choose you. The dark below erupted. Hands clawed up, pale and frantic, dozens of them grasping for boots, for fur, for flesh. The shepherd lunged, snapping bone, ripping wrists away, muzzle slick with blood. The soldier fired into the dark, muzzle flash splitting black. The recoil slammed his shoulder. Screams ripped up from below, jagged, discordant. The girl sobbed harder, face buried against him. The floor buckled further. He could feel the cabin sinking around them, beams straining, walls tilting with the weight. Choose. The word came again, layered with screams, stretched across the air until it felt like the storm itself spoke it. The soldier braced his boots, pulling the girl tighter against his chest. His voice cracked raw but steady, aimed at the hole. Then hear it clear, I choose to stand. I choose to keep her breathing. And I'll put every last bullet through whatever comes next. The shepherd barked once, sealing it, chest roaring with defiance. The storm howled harder. The rafters groaned. And then, silence. The whispers cut off, leaving only the crack of wind against the cabin. The soldier's breath echoed hard in the dark. His boots trembled on the splintered beams, but he held steady. The girl's whisper cracked into the hollow silence, broken but certain. "Don't let go." He pressed his cheek into her hair, jaw locking hard. "Never." The shepherd growled low, steady, ears locked forward. The soldier raised the rifle again, barrel steady. And then the hole below them shuddered. The hole shuddered. Dust rained from the rafters, snow swirled through the cracks, and the broken floor groaned under their weight. The soldier clutched the girl tight against his chest, his boots planted wide on what little would remain. The shepherd stood beside him, body rigid, muzzle dripping crimson, a low growl rolling steady from its chest. For a moment the cabin felt like it would give in, the beams sagging, the air pulled down into the dark below. The soldier braced himself, chest burning, rifle leveled, eyes fixed into the void. Then, silence. The voices that had roared, pleaded, screamed for help, all fell quiet. No whispers. No shrieks. Just the storm outside, howling lonely through the shutters. The soldier held his stance, heart hammering so hard he could feel it in his throat. His voice rasped into the quiet. "Dog." The shepherd's ears twitched, still braced, but its growl softened into a steady pant. Its eyes stayed locked on the hole, but its stance eased. The girl sobbed softly against his chest, her voice cracked and shaking. "Is it gone?" The soldier's jaw flexed. His eyes didn't leave the dark. Quiet doesn't mean gone. He shifted his boots, stepping back from the splintered hole. Each move was careful, deliberate, his body shielding hers completely. The shepherd paced with him, nails clicking faint against the boards, eyes still locked forward. The storm's howl pressed against the shutters. The lantern lay shattered on the floor, glass glinting faint in the gray light that bled through the cracks. The soldier lowered his voice into the girl's ear. "Listen to me. You're here. You're safe. That's what's real." She nodded against him, tears streaking her dirt-marked cheeks. He steadied his rifle one last time, then aimed it into the dark. "If you're still listening," he said, voice low but hard, "hear me now. You don't get her. Not while I draw breath." Silence answered. The shepherd growled once, low and steady, then sat back on its haunches, chest still rumbling. The soldier exhaled slow, forcing the tension from his shoulders. His arms tightened around the girl, grounding her against the tremors still racking her small frame. Then, faint, almost too soft to hear, it came. "Don't let him find me." The soldier froze. The girl stiffened, her grip on his coat tightening. But the voice wasn't jagged this time. It wasn't screamed or layered. It was soft. Small. Almost tender. The girl looked up at him, eyes wide, lips trembling. "It sounds like me." The soldier met her gaze, his voice grounding her steady. "Then maybe it's because you needed to hear yourself safe. Because you are." The whisper faded into the storm. Gone. The soldier held his stance another long moment, rifle steady, until his own instincts softened. The danger hadn't vanished, not fully, but it had retreated. Enough. He lifted the girl higher against him, her arms still clamped around his neck. His voice dropped low, quiet now that the cabin had stilled. "You're safe tonight. That's what matters." The shepherd leaned against his leg, muzzle pressing warm against the girl's arm as if sealing the truth. She cried softer now, the sobs fading into shallow breaths. Her words came faint, almost lost. "Thank you." The soldier pressed his cheek into her hair, closing his eyes for the first time since the storm began. His voice rasped out, raw but certain. "Not me. Him." He nodded toward the shepherd. He never moved. He never let go. The dog's ears twitched, tail thumping once against the floor. The soldier's chest eased for the first time in hours. He stood there, cradling her, the dog braced against him, the cabin broken but still holding. The storm outside raged on, snow hammering the world white, but inside, the whispers had fallen quiet. The soldier lifted his gaze toward the door, toward the woods beyond. His voice dropped steady, almost like prayer. "We'll carry this night. Always." The shepherd barked once, sharp but softer than before, as though in answer. The girl's eyes closed against his chest. Her voice came faint, nearly asleep. "Don't leave me." He pressed his chin into her hair, whispering back, steady and sure. "Never." And for the first time, the cabin held silence.